just setting this up. All right, about now. All right. I hope everyone is having a great day. Just trying to set up this live stream. So, today we will be talking about the right kinds of exercise. Pardon my screen shaking. Yes, we will be talking about the right kind of exercise for different goals. I already started this a bit in the last live stream. Unfortunately, due to issues, we couldn't really complete it. But here we are again. Okay, so we spoke a little bit on one of them, which was diabetes. So I'll touch up a little bit on that, and then we'll quickly move ahead to the other activities. That's the right kind of exercise for weight loss and for blood pressure control. So there were three main things we wanted to talk about: the right kind of exercise for diabetes to control your blood sugar, right? The right kind of exercise to control your blood pressure, and the right kind of exercise for weight loss. Because like I said, you can't just go and exercise because you just might be doing the wrong kind of exercise, and that will be the reason why you're not getting the results you want to get. Okay, starting just a quick recap for the exercises to control your blood sugar. We said, first of all, take a 10-minute power walk, all right, brisk walk right after eating to control your blood sugar. It helps to set the pace for your metabolism, all right, and increase sugar uptake. So a quick 10-minute walk right after eating helps with controlling your blood sugar. That's one. Two is what we call the soleus push-ups, and I showed pictures. Let me quickly show you a picture of the soleus push-ups. Okay. And this is the soleus push-up. I already described it. You can see the first part where her feet are on the ground, and then the second part, the heel comes up, and then you bring it back down slowly. So you keep repeating that motion over and over again for at least 2 hours after eating. It's passive, so it's not like you have to abandon everything you're doing because you want to do soleus push-ups. All right, it's passive exercise you can do while you're working on the computer, while you're watching TV. You can easily do soleus push-ups. So that's the second exercise. The third one we spoke about was a combination of, just get back to the screen. Okay, the third one we talked about was a combination of cardio exercise and strength training exercise. So there are some examples of strength training exercise. I'll show you when we get to that, but just note it down, all right? You can write it down somewhere. The third type of exercise to control your blood sugar is a combination of cardiovascular exercise, and strength training exercise. So the question is, how do you combine all these exercises to actually get results? Because instead of just picking one, I recommend you combine them. So for your brisk walk, that's your power walk after eating, you should do that every day. If possible, you can do it after every meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, 10-minute power walk. If you can. It's hard to do it during the week, especially when you're at work, but weekends are a bit easier, or when you have dinner, or if you go out to eat lunch at work. Instead of you taking a transport back, you can take a 10-minute walk back to the office, or you can say after having your meal at work, maybe very close to your closing hours. Once you close, you take that power walk 10 minutes after eating. So you can do that one basically every day, or as convenient as it's convenient for you. Okay, so that's one. Soleus push-ups, same thing every day or at your convenience. Okay, then the cardio and strength routines, I recommend you do those on weekends, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, and like I said, I'll tell you what cardio is about. I'll tell you what strength is about. All right, so that's the third one that you can combine. Then the next thing that we should be talking about, a bonus exercise to control your blood sugar is what we call the Japanese walking interval. Yes, the Japanese interval walk, rather, the Japanese interval walk. Now, what that is about is, oops, Let's get my screen back. Okay, my screen. Okay, yeah. So what the Japanese walk interval is, let me describe it. It's a 30-minute walk where you walk fast for 3 minutes and then you slow your pace for 3 minutes. You walk fast for 3 minutes and then you slow your pace for 3 minutes. Okay, so the study actually showed that it was very, very useful for blood sugar control. The Japanese walk interval. So when you're doing your brisk walk, when you're doing your when we're talking about cardio now, okay, fast walking is actually a type of cardiovascular exercise. Okay, so when you are doing your cardio on weekends, you know that you're supposed to do a 10-minute walk after eating. That's different. On weekends, when you now want to do your cardio routine, you can do a Japanese interval walk, right? A Japanese interval walk. You can do that on weekends because it's for 30 minutes. You walk very fast for 3 minutes, slow down for 3 minutes, fast for 3 minutes, slow down for 3 minutes. So you keep doing that over and over for 30 minutes. Okay, so that's a bonus that you can do in your cardio routine. And so those are the three major exercises that you can pick up to control your blood sugar. 10-minute brisk walk, soleus push-ups, combination of cardio and strength walks, where your cardio can be a Japanese interval walk. Okay, moving on. Now to blood pressure. What exercises can you do to help with your blood pressure? Number one on this is 10-minute brisk walk. Now, this, unlike the one for diabetes, where it's right after eating, for blood pressure, if you want to maximize your 10-minute walk, you should actually do it 3 times a day, whether or not you have eaten. It doesn't matter. In fact, for blood pressure, one major difference is that a 10-minute brisk walk for people trying to, okay, yeah, sorry. So a 10-minute brisk walk for people trying to control their blood pressure is far more efficient than walking for 30 minutes straight. So for someone trying to control their blood pressure, it's actually better to do 10 minutes 3 times a day. Studies show that it is more efficient to do 10-minute brisk walk 3 times a day than to do 30 minutes straight. Okay, so that's why it's important to understand how to use the exercise to your advantage. So for people with trying to control their blood pressure, number one exercise is a 10-minute brisk walk, preferably 3 times a day. Or if you cannot, don't worry, we've got you covered. There are still other exercises you can do. At least try and do 10 minutes once a day at the very least. Okay, that's one. Two is what we call isometric exercises. Isometric exercises. Now, these are exercises where your muscles will contract for a particular period of time while you are not moving, and then they will relax. A good example of an isometric exercise is planks. Let me show you what planks look like. This, exactly. So this is what a plank looks like. It looks simple, but you can see the guy sweating. It is not an easy exercise to do. Planks, they are not easy. So you go into this position and then you hold this position. For starters, I recommend you hold this position for at least about 20 to 25 seconds. For starters, hold this position for 20 to 25 seconds. Okay, it's not a very easy position to hold. Stronger and you get better at it, you can start going up to 40 seconds to a whole 1 minute. Some people can do 2 to 3 minutes of planks straight. So you hold it. After, when you finish, you take a break of about 20 or 30 seconds, then you repeat it again. So you take the position, you hold for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds, go again for 20 seconds, rest for 20 seconds. So you can do that about 3-4 times in one exercise routine. All right, go for 3 or 4 times in one exercise routine. So this is an example of an isometric exercise called planks. Another example of an isometric exercise is wall squats. Very, very useful. In fact, this is probably the number one recommendation for blood pressure exercises. Wall squats, not easy to do at all, but you see the legs stay in that position. You go into this position, and again, just like the planks, you hold and maintain this position for about 20 seconds. You rest for 20 seconds. You go into this position again for 20 seconds. You can see how his back is resting on the wall. He's not sitting on anything. His hands are more or less free. okay, and his legs are straight. So you want to make sure that your thighs are straight. You are not, it's not inclined in an angle, okay? So this is a wall squat, very, very useful for blood pressure control. So these are what we call isometric exercises, where your body takes a particular position that contracts the muscles, and then when you release, it gets all the blood vessels to open up, which reduces blood pressure. Because as we know, one of the reasons why blood pressure goes up is that the blood vessels are constricted. So it's like a small opening and it's hard for blood to pass through. So a lot of force is required. But with these exercises, when the blood vessel opens up, it's easy for blood to flow, and that lowers the blood pressure. Okay, so that is an isometric exercise. Again, I'm still going to give you a regimen on how to combine all of this. Next, we have isotonic exercises. Isotonic exercises. Okay. So isotonic exercise. And what are isotonic exercises? The exercises where you go against the resistance. You push against the resistance. They are very similar to strength exercises, but they're not exactly the same. Okay. And the reason is when you're talking about strength exercises, to be honest, you can actually just go and carry weight for strength exercises. But isotonic exercises push against the resistance. And a few examples of isotonic exercises, we have push-ups. Everybody knows push-ups, right? Some people call them press-ups. Okay, so that's an example of an isotonic exercise. You don't need a picture of that. The next we have is what we call lunges, and I'm going to show you what lunges look like. Okay, lunges. These are lunges. So you can see this is actually a small girl. Children actually do lunges to play. Just as you get older, the body just gets heavier. The children play while doing lunges. And you can see she starts, she's standing up straight, then she goes down, almost touching the knee or touching the ground with her knee, but it does not touch the ground, and then she steps back up. Okay, and then she goes down again and steps back up. You can see in the picture, it shows you the sequence. These are what we call lunges. Okay, so I recommend you incorporate lunges. Again, like I said, don't worry, don't get overwhelmed. I will give you a regimen on how to combine all of this. Another example is what we call side leg raises. Another example of an isotonic exercise where you are pushing against resistance, very good for blood pressure, is side leg raises. And I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, and this is what you call a side leg raise. All right, these are side leg raises. You take that position and then you keep raising that leg. You count, you raise it up maybe about 10-15 times. It goes up, down, up, down. When that leg is coming down, it almost touches the leg that is on the ground, and then you take it back up. So you keep going like that, up and down. You can do that about 10. You rest for like 20 seconds and then do it again. Okay, for lunges on the, so for this one, you repeat this and let's say you do about 15, then you rest for 20 seconds, you do another 15, rest for 20 seconds. So you can do maybe 3 to 4 sets of side leg raises. I usually like to do one for the right leg, one for the left leg, one for the right leg, one for the left leg. So each leg gets 2. Right leg, left leg. All right, so side leg raises. And once I do 2 for each leg, then I know I'm done. For lunges, on the other hand, you want to count the number of times you go down and up. All right, let's go back to lunges. So you go down and up. So I usually do 15, but you can start at, because lunges are not very easy. So if you're starting, you can start at maybe 7 or 8, and then you rest for 20 seconds. Do another 7 or 8, you rest for 20 seconds. Okay. So that's lunges. Next, we have, of course, everybody knows squats. Everybody knows squats, but just a picture here so you can see that's what a squat looks like. Okay, so everybody knows what a squat is. So you can do, because of how tough squats can be, I always recommend you don't put squats very close to lunges. Both of them weigh heavily on the knee. Both of them weigh heavily on the knee. So I recommend you separate your lunges from your squats. Don't do squats and then right after do lunges. because they both disturb the name. Okay, so that's that. So another one for blood pressure, like I said, we're still on isotonic exercises for blood pressure, is the triceps dips. Now for triceps dips, so if you've watched I did a video where I did an exercise routine called HIIT, and I'll still get to that. But triceps dips were part of my HIIT routine. So if this picture doesn't help you very much, don't worry about it. I've done a video where I showed you what triceps dips look like. But the bottom line is you put your hands on a seat and then you basically take yourself to the front of that seat while your hands are still holding on to the seat, and then you go down and up, and you can see the picture in front doing it well. You see the one at the bottom not doing it so well. Let me adjust that for you so you can see properly what triceps dips look like. Again, like I said, if you're a bit confused, no worries, just watch that HIIT video I did where I did triceps dips so you understand what that looks like. Okay, so these are some exercises that help with blood pressure control. Now, to make it simple for you, what is the regimen? How do you combine all of these exercises? Because that's usually people get overwhelmed with exercises and they don't know where to start, or how to move forward or how to combine everything. So this is what I recommend. 10-minute brisk walk. You do that as often as you can. All right, as often as you can. Remember, unlike people trying to control their blood sugar where they need to target it to be after a meal, for blood pressure, it doesn't matter. As often as you can do 10 minutes brisk walks, just do it. Okay, so that's one. Two is your isometric exercises. I recommend that for isometric exercises, you do them at least once a day. All right, once a day. It can be either in the morning or in the evening, depending on if you are rushing out in the morning and if you are not too tired in the evening. For isometric exercises, at least morning and in the evening. Now, the way you can combine this, the last part I talked about, so isometric exercise, I hope we remember, we're talking about the wall squats and the planks. Okay, wall squats and the planks. Let me just show you again, because I know we're going through a lot of exercises, so I don't want anybody to get lost. So isometric exercises, wall squats. So these are isometric exercises, and the planks. Okay, so I recommend you combine this with the isotonic exercises. All right, the isotonic exercises. So this is how you should do it. So, and I hope somebody is taking notes. You would need to take notes. You can't just put this in your head. So for this combination of isometric and isotonic exercises, this is what I recommend. You do wall squats for 20 seconds, rest, repeat, rest, repeat. So that's 3 times, 20 seconds, and you have a 20-second break in between. So you are doing, sorry, I'm on the wrong picture so that I don't lose anybody's attention. So wall squats, you are doing them for 20 seconds and resting for 20 seconds. And you do that 3 times. After that, you do your planks. Same thing, 30 seconds or 20 seconds and rest for 20 seconds, 3 times. I am giving you a combination regimen now. Okay, so we said wall squats 3 times with 20 seconds rest in between, planks 3 times with 20 seconds rest in between, and then you shift to your isotonic exercises. Isotonic exercises, you can do 5 push-ups to start, then you go into your lunges. All right, you go into your lunges, do 10 lunges, rest, repeat again, 10 lunges, rest. Okay, now we're in the isotonic exercises now. Like I said, it's a combination. Okay, so 5 push-ups, then lunges 10 twice. All right, 10 reps twice, and then you do side leg raises. Like I said, this is a prescription. So you would need to take note. Side leg raises, 10 for each leg, 10 for each leg. All right, 10 for each leg. You do that twice. So side leg raises, 10 for each leg. You do that twice. After which you go into your squats. So you can see that I said you should not go into squats right after lunges. So what we are doing is we're going into squats after the side leg raises. All right. And these are the squats, right? So squats, you can do 10, rest, and do another 10 and rest. And then you finally round it all off with triceps dips. You round it all off with triceps dips and you have completed your routine. It's a combination of isometric and isotonic exercises. Make no mistake, this combination is known to be very, very efficient for blood pressure control. Like I've said, this is the prescription again for those who did not get it. For the isometric, you do wall squats, 20 seconds, rest, repeat for 20 seconds, rest. So wall squats of 20 seconds times 2 with a rest period in between. Remember, your rest period is usually not supposed to be more than 20 seconds. Or if you want to push it, maybe 30 seconds. All right, so just keep that, just note that somewhere. So anytime I say rest, just know that the rest we're talking about is 30 seconds of rest. So that I don't actually, to make it simpler for everybody. So rest, when I say rest, just know 30 seconds of rest. So bottom line is you are doing wall squats for 20 seconds 2 times, wall squats for 20 seconds 2 times with rests in between. Then you follow with planks for 20 seconds 2 times with rests in between. Then you move to 6 push-ups, after which you rest, then repeat that 5 or 6 push-ups again. All right, so 6 push-ups twice with rest in between. Then you go to lunges. You are doing lunges 10 twice with rest in between. 10 lunges twice with rest in between. Then you go to leg raises. Okay, leg raises, you are doing, you are doing 10 per leg, 10 per leg with rest in between, and you are doing it twice for each leg, twice for each leg. So 10 side leg raises for twice for each leg with rest in between. All right, just note it like that. And then you are doing 10 squats twice with rest in between, 10 squats twice with rest in between, and then you are doing triceps dips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find time and I'm going to create this routine. I'll create a video so that you can easily follow. But this is meant more to just sensitize you so that you know what you are actually doing. Isometric exercises, isotonic exercises, and then we have your brisk walks for blood pressure control at your convenience, anytime, 10 minutes each. Okay, I believe that sorts that about blood pressure exercises. Okay, and now we're moving to the final one, the big one, weight loss. What kind of exercise combination are we looking at for weight loss? Just waiting for my screen to pick me up right here. Okay, so exercise combination for weight loss. Few things that you need to know. Number one, we have HIIT. I'm not going to talk too much about HIIT. Let me let you understand something. HIIT is probably the most efficient exercise for weight loss. Why? Because HIIT activates your body. You can't keep pushing up. Okay, hoping I'm not having any issues here. Why? Because you can't keep pushing up your metabolic states so frequently all the time. It will start to have an effect on your muscles and joints, and it can actually be, a bit harsh and cause a high risk of day that you did something. Okay, just want to be sure. Okay, yeah. So you feel it all through the day that you did something, like you will not tell you. All right. So HIIT is very, very. We did a routine on that. I don't even need to talk too much about it. Hold on. Let me be sure my internet is good. Yeah, my internet is good. Live stream seems to keep restarting. I just hope there's no issue because honestly, I can't tell. Okay. All right. So there's that about HI. Like I said, I've created a video and HIIT routine for beginners. All right. If it's too simple for you, have no worries. It's because what I created was a beginner level HIIT. Okay. Typically, if you do intermediate or advanced HIIT, I don't want to know who you are. You will feel it. Oh, you will feel it throughout the day. But it's perfect for weight loss. It activates your body to burn fat. So it's very good for people who don't have too much time to go to the gym. And it's just 10 minutes, at most 15 minutes. That's the standard recommendation for HIIT. You probably do it twice in a week and you will see results. Next is we have cardio. Now, when you say cardio, let me just go a bit into it. Cardio is brisk walking, running, jogging, swimming, cycling. Okay. Then there's what we call inclined walk. Okay, an inclined walk, and you can only do that if you have a slopy area around you, or you go to a gym and you tell them to incline the treadmill for you. Inclined walk is one of the newest and most revolutionary exercises that have come out for weight loss. Why? Because when you see someone doing inclined walk, it looks like they are not doing anything, but they are very, very much doing a lot. Like the body maximizes inclined walk for weight loss far more than a lot of other exercises. All right. So inclined walk, very, very, very useful. So these are all the things we're talking about when we say cardio. Swimming is another very good one. So like I said, running, jogging, swimming, skipping, cycling, inclined walk, brisk walk, these are all types of cardio. All right. Then we also have jumping jacks. Everybody knows jumping jacks. If you don't know, just Google jumping jacks. But most likely, you know what jumping jacks are. Okay. So these are all, and you can also skip, right? Get a skipping rope. It's also more or less the same thing. Inclined, it's also more or less the same thing. So the last part of weight loss exercise is what we call strength training. Strength training. Now, for a long time, people thought that if you are trying to lose weight, you should not bother going to the gym to carry anything heavy, like it doesn't work. And that's a lie. Now, it has actually even been studied, and we've now realized that when you carry heavy weight, you build muscle. Now, what muscle does is that it burns calories more, it burns sugar much more than fat. All right. So the more muscles you have, the more efficient your body is at burning sugar when you eat. So that's one of the reasons why it is so important. So the muscle will not replace the fat. That's why I'm going to give you a regimen now to combine everything together. But the muscle will help to make it easier for you not to add more fat, because it will burn the food you eat much quicker than the fat cells. So strength training. So strength training, honestly, if you can, when you go to the gym, just go and find weight to carry. Just go and carry weights. All right. That is strength training straight up. However, when you're at home, there are other things you can do for strength training. Examples are push-ups. So I said strength training resembles isotonic exercises that I just spoke about for blood pressure. The difference is in the quantity and how you combine them. So for strength training, we're talking about things like push-ups, we're talking about lunges. You already know what lunges are. We now have what we call shoulder taps. And let me show you what shoulder taps are. These are shoulder taps. So you can see him, he's tapping his shoulder while the other hand is on the ground. So he keeps exchanging. He taps, he puts it down. He tap, he puts it down while he's in a press-up position. So when he's tapping, only one hand is on the ground, and that's what you can see here. Now, this other picture shows the sequence. Two hands on the ground, one hand taps, that hand comes down, the second hand taps, and it comes down, and then the cycle continues like that. Those are shoulder taps. So you take a push-up position like you want to do a press-up, and then instead of doing press-up, you tap your shoulder, you bring your hand down, you tap your shoulder, you bring your hand down. I was just describing, let me switch to video. Yeah, so like I was saying, so you imagine this is the ground, like my hands are on the ground. Okay, my hands are on the ground. So I tap, I put my hand down, I tap, I put my hand down, I tap, I put my hand down while in a press up position. All right, tap, put your hand down, tap your hand. So those are shoulder taps. Okay. Another one is squats. Squats are also strength training exercise. And then you have tricep dips. I've already shown you what tricep dips are. All right, but for those who might have forgotten, because like I said, we are going through a lot of exercises today. So I'm going to just keep reminding you what each one looks like. These are squats. These are also squats, and in case these are the triceps dips. All right, so now the big question is, how do you combine all of this? How do you combine all of this into a regimen for weight loss? This is what I recommend. During the week, Tuesday and Thursday, or Tuesday and Friday preferably, do HIIT and strength training. So you can only do HIIT twice between Monday and Friday. You cannot do it more than twice, please, so you don't cause metabolism problems for yourself. You don't enjoy yourself, all right? Because like I said, HIIT is high intensity, and it basically sets your body up, right? It activates your body for like next 24 to 48 hours. So you do HIIT twice a week. Now, in between your HIIT, so let's say you do HIIT on Tuesday and then on Friday, then Wednesday, Thursday, you do strength training. Okay, you do strength training. The beautiful thing about strength training is that you can actually do it indoors. Okay, you can do strength training indoors, and those are the exercises I've mentioned. So push-ups, like I mentioned before, the same set I mentioned before. So you do 5 push-ups twice with rest in between. You do lunges 10 twice with rest in between. You do shoulder taps. Remember shoulder taps while you're in that press up position. You do twice. You do 10 twice with rest in between. You do squats 10 twice with rest in between, and then you do triceps dips 10 twice with rest in between. Okay. Now for strength exercise, like I said, I'm going to create a routine that you can easily follow. I'm going to create a video that you can easily follow for your strength training, so that when you want to do strength training, you just turn on the video and then you go. Okay, so I believe that will help a lot of people. So you've done HIIT, you do HIIT on Tuesday and Friday, then Wednesday, Thursday in between, you do strength training, because you can't do HIIT again. So you are doing something. Then on weekends, you now combine cardio with strength training. You remember you've already done 2 HIIT routines during the week. So on weekends, you don't want to do that. You want to do cardio and strength training. Cardio on weekends, good, because you can actually go out. You're not going to work. You have a little more time to do your running or your jogging and all that. You can do that on weekends. And then when you get to the gym, in fact, you can do cardio, brisk walk for 30 minutes to get to the gym. And when you get to the gym, you do strength training, all right, to carry heavy weights, and all that. And then, you wrap it up for the day. Or you do your brisk walk for 30 minutes, go outside, come back home. When you get back home, you now do strength training, where you're doing your push-ups the way I just narrated, push-ups times 5, lunges times 10, 2 reps, shoulder taps and the likes. Like I said, I'm going to do a strength training routine that everyone can follow. So this is a simple regimen for weight loss, right? Like I said, HIIT Tuesday and Friday, strength training Wednesday and Thursday. Then for your weekend, Saturday, Sunday, you combine cardio with strength training. Cardio and strength training on Saturday, cardio and strength training on Sunday, and you are golden. All right, that is a perfect regimen for weight loss. It incorporates everything that you're supposed to do. Okay, so please feel free to leave your questions in the comment section. I will be answering questions in the comment section. There's no issues. And like I said, watch out for the video where I do strength training. If you have not checked out the HIIT routine, please go and check it out. It's a 10-minute routine. You can do it before going to work. But remember, twice a week. And if it's too simple, please let me know, so I can do an advanced or intermediate level of HIIT that will challenge your body. The idea is to challenge your body. And one thing you should know about HIIT, there's no resting inside. So it's 10 minutes. Anyway, my video explains about how HIIT works. So, and I'm going to leave it right there. I hope this has been helpful to all of you. These are some of the exercises and how you should combine them. I would probably drop a note on the group, about the regimen so that it's easy for you to remember what the regimen is, for those who might not have been able to take notes. Okay, so till we have another conversation, have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody. Oh, I'm still trying to shut down this live stream. I'm truly hoping that I have been live, because if I have not been live, I've been talking to myself, and that's not going to be nice.